Have you ever wondered what makes an elephant, a butterfly, a fish, or even you a living organism? They may look completely different, yet one tiny thing connects almost every living organism: the cell. Welcome back to Zoology Adda. In our previous classes, we explored classification and scientific names. Now we are going one step deeper. Before we study the body of an animal, we need to understand the tiny units that build it. So today, let's understand the cell, its basic structure, and why it is called the fundamental unit of life. A cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of a living organism that can carry out the basic processes of life. But what do we mean by structural and functional? Think about a building. It is made up of smaller units, such as bricks. In a similar way, living bodies are built from cells. That is why a cell is called the structural unit of life. But cells also perform essential activities such as obtaining nutrients, producing energy, removing waste, growing, and responding to their surroundings. That is why a cell is called the functional unit of life. Scientists developed these ideas into what we now know as the cell theory. The cell theory states three important things. All living organisms are made up of one or more cells. The cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life, and all new cells arise from pre-existing cells. Now let's look inside a typical cell. A basic animal cell can be understood through three major components: the cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. Let's begin with the cell membrane. The cell membrane forms the outer boundary of the cell and separates its inside from the surroundings. But it is not simply a wall. The cell membrane is selectively permeable, which means it controls the movement of many substances into and out of the cell. Think of it like a security gate. It controls what enters and leaves, helping the cell maintain its internal environment. Next comes the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is the region inside the cell membrane surrounding the nucleus. It contains the cell's organelles and is the site of many important chemical reactions. And then we have the nucleus. The nucleus is an important structure of a typical animal cell. It contains genetic material, mainly DNA. DNA carries information needed for the growth, development, functioning, and reproduction of an organism. Because the nucleus contains genetic information and helps regulate cellular activities, it is often described as the control center of the cell. So, remember it simply. The cell membrane controls entry and exit. The cytoplasm is the region of cellular activity, and the nucleus contains genetic information and regulates many cellular functions. But there is something interesting here. I said a typical cell. Why? Because not all cells are exactly the same. Some cells have a well-defined nucleus enclosed by a membrane, while others do not have a membrane-bound nucleus at all. And that difference leads us to one of the most important divisions in cell biology: prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So how are these two types of cells different? That is exactly what we are going to explore in our next class. From the tiniest cell to the most complex animal body, understanding life begins here with the cell. I'll see you in the next class. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep exploring the animal world.